Predictions for the 2024 British Grand Prix. Round 12 of the F1 season is here, which means we're headed to Silverstone. Or those with a lot of money are headed to Silverstone. As following on from Austria, it's just a single week off before the F1 circus is back at it. And what's changed since last time? Well, George Russell is a two-time race winner, Max and Lando are no longer friends, and Sergio Perez is still, well, absolutely useless. But how do I think they're all going to do this time out, and more importantly, how does Enzo the dog think they're going to do? Well, let's find out as we get into my predictions for the 2024 British Grand Prix. Starting off then with the team of the week, and the people I've gone for here are McLaren. Honestly, I just feel like that car is looking so good at the moment. You've got Lando as well, who have the home support. I feel like it's just trending in that direction. They're generally going to do well. Look at last year too. They had two cars who could have easily been on the podium. It was Norris P2, Piastri P4, and I feel like this year it's going to be a track that they do well at. And yeah, I just feel like McLaren are going to have a good weekend. Moving then to the not-so team of the week, and the people I've gone for here are Sauber. They're the only team that's yet to score, and I don't think that's going to change in Silverstone. We've seen over the last few races that the likes of Alpine have been doing a bit better, RB have been better than them all year, and realistically the only team that's even close to them is Williams. So to be honest, you're only going to be beating maybe one or two cars, and that's got to be pretty bad. Williams could have also gone in this slot, but I feel like it's Sauber who's going to have the worst weekend. Moving then to sneaky good, and the person I've gone for here is Oscar Piastri. Now Piastri finished second last time out in Austria, admittedly benefited from the Norris-Verstappen incident. However, I do feel like Piastri in general has been driving a bit better recently. He's had a couple of mistakes here and there, such as qualifying, which put him out of contention really in Austria until that crash. But in general, I think he has been looking a bit better, and I feel like in Great Britain that's all going to culminate in a good result. Stay tuned to see exactly where I put him at the end. Sneaky bad then, and we've gone for a favourite of this one, it's Sergio Perez. In general, the last few races have been awful, but I feel like in Great Britain it's not really going to turn around for him. The way the pack has closed up at the top means you genuinely have 8 drivers that could fill the top 8 spots, and I feel like Sergio in general just ends up at the back of that. And if you're finishing 8 out of the top 8 drivers, well, that's got to go down as a slightly bad weekend. Moving then to driver of the day, and I did say I think McLaren are going to do well. I've gone with Lando Norris. No, I don't mean the fan vote popularity contest that he seemingly wins every single race, but I do think he's generally going to have a good one this time out. The last few races, he's been kind of pushing Max Verstappen, he's been the real challenger. Hasn't quite come off for him since Miami, but I do feel like Britain, home race, yes, a little bit of bias there. However, I do feel like he really could pull it off. He also finished second last year, had the lead for a little bit, so I genuinely think that Norris will get my specific driver of the day. And then finally we move to fail of the day, and the person I've gone for is Logan Sargent. Pretty much a lock-in almost at this point for most weekends to finish last. I mean, last time out I'm pretty sure he was the only one who was lapped multiple times, and I just feel like for Logan it's all kind of falling apart a little bit. Plus at a track like Silverstone, I feel like whenever we watch the British Grand Prix, it's hard for people to luck into good positions, and so for me the fail of the day has got to be Logan Sargent down the end of the order. Moving on then to Enzo's predictions and taking a look at how it went last time out, as you can see, Enzo beat me again, which means that on the season it's now 5-all, meaning that we're back to level pegging. Getting into Enzo's predictions, and there's no time wasting from the lab here, looks like a pretty easy choice as it's going to be Logan Sargent, he's putting in P20. Next up then in P19, it looks like it's going to be another car in blue, and it's going to be Pierre Gasly. It's been a while since I said P19 is a disappointing result for Alpine. Next up then, moving on to 18th, and Enzo clearly has no hope for Williams whatsoever. It's going to be Alex Albon slotting in down here. 17th now, and it's someone who's done really well the last few races, but according to Enzo it's going to be Nico Hülkenberg down in P17, which is kind of disappointing for him. Next up then in 16th, and it looks like the French drivers haven't survived too long, as it's going to be Esteban Ocon in P16. Again, would be disappointing for Alpine. 15th place now, and he's heading towards the Saubers, and it looks like it's going to be Zhou Guanyu. Honestly, for Sauber, anything other than last I think comes under good. 14th place now, and it's a wander into the centre of the pyramid, a quick glance at Lewis Hamilton, but he ends up picking up Daniel Ricciardo, the RB driver having a slightly underwhelming British Grand Prix. 13th place now, and it seems that Enzo hasn't forgotten about Sauber. Despite having a quick look at Alonso, he does keep hold of that Valtteri Bottas bag, and eventually brings him over to slot him into 13th place. 12th place now, and he's going straight up the middle, sliding a green bag along, and it's going to be Lance Stroll who he's slotting into P12. To be fair for Aston Martin and Stroll specifically, I'd be surprised if they get this high. P11 now, and it's straight up the middle for Enzo. as he leans over and picks up one of the green bags. It's going to be Kevin Magnussen in the Haas, number 20, P11. Top 10 now, and it seems that Enzo has decided Mercedes' good run of form is going to end at just a single race, as slotting into this 10th place slot, picking up just a single point after a race win last time, is going to be George Russell, but even 10th is a bit low for them. 9th place now, and it looks like Enzo's going with one of the best of the rest drivers for this year, as despite a quick check for Piastri, he does indeed pick Yuki Tsunoda to finish in 9th place. 8 drivers remaining then, and where I had a good race for Oscar Piastri, it seems Enzo completely disagrees, as P8 and just a couple of points is going to be as high as he's putting this McLaren. Moving on to 7th, attacking the right side, looks at Sergio Perez, but eventually picks up Fernando Alonso. 7th place now for Aston Martin, I'm pretty sure they'd be living in dream world. 6th place now, 2 Red Bulls, 2 Ferraris, a McLaren and Mercedes, and despite destroying nearly the entire pyramid, he's going to pick up Lewis Hamilton in the other Mercedes. Pretty rare for Hamilton to be seen beating George Russell these days. 5 to go now, and after generously keeping Sergio Perez in for this long, Enzo decides enough is enough as he picks up the second driver for Red Bull, going to slot Sergio into 5th place. And then there were 4, the top 4 in the standings as it turns out, and it looks like he's going to be going for a Ferrari here, but which one is it? It's going to be Carlos Sainz, as after a podium last time out in Austria, he just misses out in Britain. Enzo's podium now, and galloping along, it looks like he's pushed Verstappen under the sofa, and he's actually going to pick him up. Max Verstappen in P3, according to Enzo. So that leaves 2, Leclerc or Norris, and it looks like he's bounding towards the McLaren. He's knocked it under the sofa, but is he going to give up and go for Leclerc? No, he's resilient and manages to grab hold of the papaya beanbag and put Lando Norris down in 2nd place. While 2nd might be a bit disappointing, it's better than being crashed into and getting no points. That of course leaves just 1 driver left to be selected as Enzo bounds along and picks up Charles Leclerc. All I'm going to say is if Leclerc does end up winning this one, it's got to be a pretty exciting race. So anyway, there you have our predictions. Mine are on the right, Enzo's are on the left. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Also give me any suggestions for things you might want to see with this series, just to spice it up a little bit. But anyways, that is all for now. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have, make sure to give the video a thumbs up, get yourself subscribed for more content on the channel, and until next time, take care.